Oh, Kenzie's been doing that.
She was trying to like come up with like a knock joke or like a you know, a kind of like, what was her thing? Like, what she asked, like, what do you drink when you whine? And she's like, you drink wine. And she like she didn't understand like
it didn't work.
The call answer kind of structure or whatever. So then I'm like trying to teach her like.
Do you ever have your kids like tell the truth? Like, do you tell your kids when they're not funny?
Yeah, I let her know.
Yeah,
I don't want my kid to think she's funny.
Right.
If she's not funny.
I know. I think some people think that I'm mean, but like Kenzie and Hutton have told me jokes, and I'm like, Kenzie, that's not funny. And then Hutton will come with one that is funny. I'm like, Hutton, that was great. And Kenzie's like, that was not nice. I'm like, well, you're not funny. Like Hutton was funny. Like you gotta try
know
again.
that you're authentic, right? So like
no, and I'm hypercritical. Like,
well,
I mean, we're entertainers.
No, it seems like appropriate criticism. Like,
but
it's fair.
Yeah, it's different. Like, I don't. It's not that I don't want my kid to be funny.
I want them to.
It's that I want my kid to be funny.
Exactly.
So I want her to I want what she's trying to do. When my kid was trying to figure out how to tell jokes, I could tell because she was trying to make up her own jokes.
Yes.
So she was trying to figure out not just how to tell a joke, but how jokes work. And she was, I could see her trying to like work it out, like how to be funny.
Yeah.
Not why thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and so she would tell me a bad joke and I'd be like, no, dude, it doesn't work. Like it's not, that's not really funny.
Yeah.
And then I'd try to explain to her why it's not funny. And then I spent a few days with her in the car, like trying to explain to her, like, the anatomy of jokes,
right.
like how you
there's a
form a
structure.
punchline or like a setup and a knockdown kind of a thing.
Exactly.
But then she would get mad. She like doubled down. So then we would be in a public place and she'd be like, Papa, watch this. And then she'd tell her bad joke to someone else who would like politely laugh at her.
I know.
And then she'd look at me and be like, see, it is funny. And I'm like, they're lying to you. And I would say it right in front of them. And the person would be like, you know what I mean? Like shocked that I was like calling them out in front of my kid. And I'm like, they're lying to you. You're not funny, dude. You got to do, we're going to work on it. So I bought her like a dad joke book.
Oh.
Like I took her to Barnes & Noble and we went joke book shopping so that she could like study like silly little jokes. And the reason why I went for a dad joke book is because it's the simplest structure of joke. It's silly, it's straightforward, it's kind of easy.
It's a boom.
So then she started kind of like, and that was how we did that. So she has her little joke book that she like references, and sometimes she comes out with a good one. Like she'll find a good one in there and hit us with it. It's good. It's gotten better.
I do have to say that like of my kids, like Hutton is definitely the one who like he's got the timing. He's got his little raspy voice and he can come out with some really good ones. And then Kenzie tries so hard, and every time I'm like, crickets. No. And I'm like,
I can't wait to get there.
But like and I think Maisie's just gonna come out like, I mean, I don't know that one. I have no idea what's gonna come out of her mouth.
Get her a joke book.
Oh, I don't even think I need to. I think that we're gonna be the butt of her jokes for sure.
She's just watching all of you. Like
I know she's gonna be so good. But I mean, I'm glad we had this conversation all about jokes and fun. But maybe we should intro and get into a very special episode of Seventh Heaven.
Well, there is actually a running joke the whole episode with everyone involved.
Oh, yes, there is a joke, actually. Well, I'll do the intro. Hey, guys, welcome back to Catching Up with the Camdens. I am Beverly Mitchell.
I'm David Gallagher.
I'm Mackenzie Rossman.
And today we are rewatching episode 5 of season 1, which is The Color of God. This was, wow. There is so much to unpack out of this episode.
Yeah.
So much. It's one of my favorites, though, in the sense that, like, we went for the fences, man.
It was a huge episode for us in its day, like at the time. It was a really impactful episode. I remember it was controversial, like, you know, in its time, but like looking back on the show as a whole, there's some cringe and there's some stuff that doesn't age great, and there's a lot of that stuff, but man, the powerful like solidarity messaging in this episode is something to be proud of, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, we were dealing with a huge subject. We were dealing with racism, and we, you know, what I found so impressive was how we were able to breach the subject of racism for every one of the kids. So we were able to have conversations at every age level
Yeah.
that was age appropriate and that allowed a conversation that is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And but in a way that opens up a dialogue. And I think that's what our show was so good at, was opening up. And that's
Dialogues about
what
uncomfortable
Brenda was
topics,
brilliant.
basically, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
Brenda was brilliant about using this platform to have conversations that no one wanted to have, but create these opportunities for families to talk about things, and for people who might have been on one side to start understanding the other side. Like
Yeah.
there was always two sides to it. So
I mean, it's we said it before, but this is one of the peak examples of like strong progressive messaging wrapped in conservative family values.
Right.
And like the episode, watching it fresh, I mean, so much of it I had disassociated from or forgotten about. It's been so long since I've seen it. But watching
it's been since 1996.
It's been since the 90s since I've seen it. And like I was both like kind of shocked and also proud of how bold a stance we took in the episode, and just what a great job everybody did.
I know, I agree. And so maybe we should dive in. I mean, I think the episode starts with actually a funny joke.
That's true, yeah.
A prank, actually. It's more of a prank.
A prank,
Yeah.
yeah.
A prank.
Which is
and Barry's
apparently
so
which
cute
is
in that
which is
scene.
an
He
old
looks
school
just-
prank.
Pure mischief. It's adorable.
No,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
what I
Yes.
also loved is the ongoing opportunity to use this prank to cut tension or frustration. Like it was always utilized to bring people together.
Yeah.
So it was actually what united us, was this like silly, which by the way, I might try on my kids. Like I definitely am
I
gonna
was
try
thinking
this.
the same thing.
I'm
when I watched it,
definitely
though.
gonna do the butter trick. Let's put some salt on butter and see if it heats up. And my kids might get smashed. I just got to figure out which one I'm gonna do.
My
it to.
kid's gonna fall for it, but she's gonna
Totally.
be mad after she falls for it because she knows she should know better.
But like we start off the episode where Matt is playing the prank on Mary, and it of course, it also goes age related. It goes down the
It goes down the
it's
chain.
Down the ladder
Which
there,
is
yeah.
a cute family trope, but I love that the prank is set up right away, because the real payoff for the prank is to cut, like you said, to cut tension later.
Right,
And
absolutely.
so setting it off, going down the chain, and then where it ends, I think is a great
perfect.
payoff.
It's
yeah.
perfect.
Yep.
So we start off kind of in the kitchen with the tension. We're all being Camdens.
We're starting
We're
our
starting
day.
just like we normally would.
Yeah.
And
You're mad that you missed
I'm mad about.
pancakes.
I'm always mad about
You
something.
huff.
Because
Where
I felt
was
left out.
Lucy, though, because
I
she-
was out with Happy because apparently Simon
were,
was
like,
having-
outside.
really long
I was with
walk.
Happy,
And you didn't know it was breakfast time.
And I was really
apparently.
mad
And then
about
Eric
it.
is
Which,
just
by the way, I
completely
would be mad.
unsympathetic, or
I
or
would
Annie
be
is that
mad
you-
if somebody did not feed me. So let's just be real. But
I just
anyway,
love the like. Well, sorry, you missed it. You know.
I
No,
know.
they
What was I
said
supposed
like,
to tell
I'll
you?
make you breakfast. It'll take 2 seconds, and you're like,
first of all, I do
Good
not.
it's not ready right now.
I don't want Eric to make me pancakes. We all know how good his food is.
It's true.
As we
Anyway,
further establish in this episode,
Yeah, that he's terrible.
Yeah.
But then we go to Simon and Ruthie, who are watching TV, and you
And
have.
do you know what that cartoon was? I was wondering whether that was like an actual.
No, I think they had access because we were WB. I think
Yeah.
they had access to like old WB cartoons, and I think that's where they pulled all that kind of stuff. If I had to
Yeah.
guess, that would be the
make-
way.
And then you have the big discovery that sets off the whole episode.
Right. So I start channel surfing, which
That's what
makes
it's supposed to
makes you
be.
dizzy, which is something I hear at home. And and I find the news story that the Hamilton church has been burned down.
Yeah.
And the Hamiltons are a family very much like the Camdens,
Yes.
with similar age children, and a very
they're-
close family to
Yeah,
to
Eric
us.
and Morgan went to seminary together.
They went to seminary
so-
together. We've
Right.
been family friends for a long time.
Yep.
And they were targeted because they're black, and the black community church was targeted as a way of trying to drive that community down or drive them
Or
away
intimidate.
Right.
or intimidate them. And so,
And we had incredible actors. We had Dorian Harewood. We had Olivia Brown, Chaz Lamar Shepherd, Gabrielle Union. Some people might know her. Camille Winbush and David
and
Nutter.
David Netter.
And they were so good, and it was so fun having them on set.
Oh, every time
We
they
had a
came and they
blast,
came
yeah,
on the
yeah.
set all the time. We had them back
Yeah,
many times over. And
they were family.
I remember being so excited when I knew that Netter was going to be back on set because, like, me and him got along famously.
Oh, you
And
guys
I was
were
the
like
same way with
best
Camille. It was so fun.
besties.
I love
Yeah,
Netter,
yeah,
man.
Camille,
I haven't
yeah.
spoken to him in so long. I'd love to see him again, man. We gotta
Well,
see.
we
if
might
he's
have to
around
get
and
we might have to get
on.
him on the podcast.
Yeah, he was my boy. We were tight. It was great.
So, the show launches into basically this huge, heavy weight of like trying to also be there for them and their community and support the Hamiltons. And there's while Reverend Hamilton is on the news, he has a very strong messaging and a beautiful statement saying you cannot fight hate with hate. And even if the criminals are caught, we still have their teachers out there. And I think that was like such a very strong message, and it resonates.
What I think is interesting and what's hard to do is it rationalizes the idea that you can't fight hate with hate. It gives you the reason why.
Yeah.
And because this is something that you hear and it
Yeah.
sounds like a throwaway statement that doesn't have any weight. Like you can't fight hate with hate. It's like a
Right,
hippie
but
statement or
it-
something.
Right.
But
It
they
explains it.
contextualize it and they say like, even if we stop
Hate
these
wasn't
people,
something
the
someone
people who taught them to
spontaneously-
hate are still around.
Right.
And so you have to find a better way to combat hatred that actually diffuses it.
Right.
That teaches people that it's wrong, and not just stops the people who act on their hatred, but it gets to the hearts of people who have it in them.
And I think that this episode is a perfect example of being able to reach those people. That's what this show
And that's what we were
was
trying
doing.
to do.
That's what
It's
we were
exactly
doing.
what we're trying to do, yeah.
Is kind of reach those people where you can allow them to see something a little bit differently
Yeah.
than how they may have been raised. Because also that's the other hard part is like a lot of this is generational. This is like coming from generation after generation. So you have to find the break in where you can break that generational
Yeah.
thought process. And
this cuts right into our show's greatest strength when it comes to social messaging was that you can attack a subject like this from every age group.
Right.
Because we had all of the kids going up, you had your teenagers, your preteens, we had the little ones,
Yeah.
we had the, almost the young adults and the adults.
Yep.
And so every age group got to react uniquely from their life experience perspective. Like the young kids contextualize it so differently than the adults do.
Yeah.
And so that's where our show, that's what we were really good at, and how the writers really understood that strength from the beginning.
right.
So then when we come back, we have the Hamilton family is at the house, and you see just the different levels and the different dynamics between the
Well, and
age
it's
groups and
mostly
the
the-
older kids. There's a lot of tension.
Yeah, because you guys, there's a
because-
big difference between.
Yeah, well,
There-
we have the younger set and the older set.
Well,
and
no. I meant what I was gonna say is like the younger kids are getting along great. You guys
Right,
are having a
that's-
blast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The older kids, you can cut the tension with a knife.
Yes.
We
that's
do
what it
not.
is.
We are awkward. We're uncomfortable. I think Lucy, Mary, and Matt are
Well, they don't
all
know how they should be with each other. I think in that
aware
moment too.
of.
Lucy apologizes numerous times, and she's like, "I'm sorry about your church." And she's like, "You've said that's the third time you've said that, right?" Mary is just like, I mean, it's so awkward that eventually you're not even there for a couple of minutes before you just decide to leave the room. And Mac walks out, and he's like, "I'll be back soon, maybe."
Well, it's
I
great,
guess
and-
you know.
No,
And,
keep-
and then
keep
they
to it.
cut immediately to the little kids who are just like oblivious to the fact that they're could be a reason for tension.
Well, I think it's a perfect example too of how the innocence
Yes.
Yeah.
and how, as the preteens,
Well,
we
they
were
have a
fully
less exposure to people justifying reasons to
Well, I think
feel
it's
different.
because you didn't. I don't think. I mean, it felt like as being part of that, and I just even remember being in the scene. Just like it was uncomfortable even acting in it, because even though we loved it, because it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's an uncomfortable subject. Everything's uncomfortable, even when you're acting it, because you don't feel that way, and but you're afraid of like anything being misinterpreted. And I think what was beautiful about all of this is to start to unravel and see how
They aired
each
the discomfort,
side
though,
of them
too.
and like how the Hamiltons felt, how we felt, and then how we all come together. But I just absolutely loved the comparison with the teenagers versus the kids, because I loved
so
the
did I.
innocence, and I loved
It's the complete opposite, basically.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
there's so many layers to it, honestly. First of all, it's the message of you can't fight hate with hate is not preachy in the episode, which would be like the first easy criticism to kind of throw at it like flippantly. It's not preachy at all, because we show some of the Hamilton family angry. They're mad.
Right.
They're
That's the
dealing with
tension
their
in the
hate.
room,
So there's
too,
and that causes all this tension. The older kids, they can contextualize this socially. They can contextualize this in their own lives. They feel personally attacked. They have that justifiable like hatred
Absolutely.
in them, and they're trying to deal with it. And they're dealing with it like well and not well. You know what I mean? Like
Well-
they're having that struggle. Whereas the younger kids are playing, and it's
Yeah.
not that they're oblivious to the hatred. It's that they don't have that social context to take it out on their environment. Like they like that's
It's not
this
Simon's
hatred
fault that
so they
that happened.
like, I'm hanging out with my friends, so we're gonna play and have a good time, and you know, there's outside there are these other problems, and so they have more of a separation, a contextual separation. The older kids have more experience with that hatred personally, and so they're dealing with the hate, and so
Yeah.
that the layers to that to dealing with this message is strong, and I think it's noticeable. It's well done.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I think we will be right back. Okay, and we're back. You know what? I love that we continue the butter trick, because we start to see it like kind of trickle down. And I loved that it was the opportunity. The butter trick was actually what helped me connect with Gabrielle, with Keisha. Because Lucy's kind of this nervous Nelly that keeps apologizing for everything, doesn't stand up, and then finally, like, I do it on you. I use it on Simon, because Simon won't pick up his toys, and was like, you were kind of sassing me, and so
Simon knows better.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
And this is what I'd expect from my kid.
And-
like Simon knows better, but he like he wants to see what everyone's talking about. So all right, fine. And then when he gets tricked, he's just like, ugh.
And you wipe it
Should've
on your
known
pants.
better.
You wipe it on your
And
pants.
I just wipe it
Yeah.
on my pants, which
Yeah.
is perfect.
But I love that it was that
I love the
where
pushback,
it
though, from Simon
changed
when-
the relationship between her and Keisha, and all of a sudden there was this sisterhood where she was
Well-
standing up for me, where Mary had kind of been ignoring me. And so that's where Lucy
And it was
Keisha
Mary's turn to
becomes-
feel left out, sort of, as well, in that episode.
Yeah. That's the start of it.
I love too the difference. I'll say quickly about your stuff in this is that the Lucy Mary dynamic. You guys are close in age, and so you can always like get two sides of the coin with you two.
Right.
And so you are so empathetic that you just don't know what to say.
Right.
And it's almost like paralyzing how empathetic your character is. Whereas Mary's more the kind of character who's like, well, it had nothing to do with me. I don't feel like that. That's not
who I am.
that's not who I am. So
Right.
I don't I have nothing to do with it.
Right.
Which both are appropriate in their own way, but to watch you guys find the kind of the middle way,
Right.
that has that has the empathy that reaches out, but with the confidence to know that that's not who you are.
Right. Totally.
So that's where you guys are trying to.
Well, that's fun.
It's a great little juxtaposition between
Yeah.
the two characters.
Well, and I love the wisdom that we get. I actually love that most of the wisdom comes from the kids.
Yeah.
It comes from Nigel.
Because it's innocence.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
And I think we actually like wrap up the first act with, well, first off,
Is it Nigel's prayer?
his prayer.
Yeah.
Yes.
His prayer.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, it's about, I think it's Annie and her walk, or was that before then?
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's in that. It's in there somewhere.
There's a wonderful scene with the two moms on their walk talking about
with Patricia
About
and Annie.
being
their personal lives. Yeah.
being a
and-
partner to someone who is the support person for so many other people, and
right.
sort of the isolation I feel like that they each must feel, and you know how
And
Morgan,
how to be strong.
the Hamiltons
yeah.
are not, you know, apparently Morgan is not a talking man, and Eric is the complete opposite. And there's also a really cute scene later on where she's like, you know, Eric forces everyone to talk and pushes him in a corner, and he tries it, and she's just like out of there. Patricia.
Yeah, well, she calls it,
Yeah,
and
she
then
calls
Eric
it. She's
comes
like,
in
it's
and
about
is
to
like,
come in. He's like,
"I
oh,
wanna
I wanted
talk
to
to
talk
you."
with you. And she's like, no. Which is cute.
It is
that
very
is- that
cute.
is a cute
it's
scene.
a great scene with
And
them.
also Annie in on the joke, and Annie's just laughing, and she's like,
Yeah,
"I know,
what?
honey,
And
I
Eric's
know."
just like oblivious.
yeah, exactly.
yes, Catherine firing on all cylinders through
Yeah.
these first episodes, man. I've really enjoyed as we
I
rewatched
know,
the first
it's so
season.
fun.
I just got to say
am too.
again, I've totally enjoyed Catherine's work through the first season so far. It's been so stellar.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, she's just the perfect.
So then we
Camden mom.
I know she really is, and we wrap up our dinner scene. We're all having dinner together. There's all of the tension, and Nigel has his short and succinct
Well,
prayer.
first,
It's like-
what I do love though actually is not just Nigel's prayer, but I love that it's Eric asks Simon to give the prayer. And you so brilliantly, like, and sweetly just are like, no. So, and Nigel, you give it up to your buddy.
Yeah,
And there was something also just about that offering of someone else in in our house, and you're like, no, you're our guest. Like there was more to it than you just letting him have the prayer.
Also,
there's some acknowledgement that
Of-
Nigel would probably have something more to say in the moment,
yeah.
and it's it's
and then
it's
it
another
came from the little kid table too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Versus the head of the big table.
I love the little
You
kid
know?
table
Oh my
trope,
God,
by the way.
Everybody,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
everyone
big
loves a little
the
kid
big
table.
family dinner with the
Little
separate
kid-
little kid table, the
Best.
best.
Yes.
Yeah. always
I
loved-
still try to sit at that table, but
well, you fit.
Yep.
So we'll do.
I can reach the floor.
And what does Nigel say? What does
so
Nigel
Nigel says his prayer, which is just, "Dear God, please stop the fires," and it has that innocence, but it cuts with a knife, straight to the point.
Absolutely.
And so it's a great moment, and you know, and Netter does an excellent job of just matter of factly
Yeah.
hitting you with that sentiment.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple and poignant.
So then when we come back, we have Annie and Patricia and them in the kitchen, and they're talking about rebuilding the church. And apparently there's an emergency fund, and Eric is, you know, they're going to give them a percentage of the money from the emergency fund. And it's basically all that they need to rebuild the
basically
church.
all of
It's
the
all of
money.
it. And she's
Yeah.
like, well, you know, that's what it's there for. And
Which is
it's
exactly
just-
right.
It's exactly
yeah.
right. And
It's
it's
a building
it's
fund.
so appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the sweetest, most correct thing, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent show of like community and solidarity.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I love, you know, when they're in the church and you see we split the congregation, and you know, like they're sharing it in the
We
church.
don't.
Like
I
we're not
very,
like splitting it, but
yeah. I very specifically noted to myself, because when I saw the wide shot in the church, I went, "Did we split the
No, we didn't.
Is it
It
a
was-
left and right congregation?"
I don't
And
know.
No, we're,
It's
we're
not.
all blended
it was.
together.
We were all blended together, but
which
I'm
is-
saying we
which
crammed
is again
both. Like
well done,
Yes.
the right way to do it. Like to not.
I didn't mean to say like we split it. I mean that
No,
like
for
they
sure, I know.
shared like I thought that was really really cute.
No, it's
that-
excellent because not only do we, it's also a setup
It's for
because
community.
we share our church with them, and in the end, they share theirs with us.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it was really sweet.
And then we have this beautiful hairstyle that Keisha gives
God.
Lucy, which were
Tell
Most
us about how
excellent.
that felt,
the,
Bev,
ins-
like to
the,
have done.
the braids,
How
which
comfortable.
those hurt. Like that was painful. I just remember having the worst headache, and I have very thick hair. It took
Well, that makes one of us.
hours. I just remember, I think I was in the chair for like 5 hours, and I just remember being like, I
People do this all the
appreciate their
time.
beautiful braids. I
Yeah.
just like anyone who has those braids. I'm like, you are amazing. Like that is incredible. Like it's just that was My scalp also got fried. During that time.
How did it get
'Cause
fried? Oh, because
just
it
being
was
outside.
sunburned?
Well, because your
'Cause it's
braids, so your
exposed.
scalp is
see.
exposed, and so you just get destroyed. I had to wear those for a week. It looked like I had been electrocuted when we pulled those out. I have a picture. My hair was like this
bet,
big,
yeah.
because the braids were so tight.
Yeah, they gotta
Um,
be. You had
I
some
feel like
tight.
I think it gets more comfortable after they grow out a little bit, and then it's not as tight.
I
but
also have to
if
say,
you only had them on for a week. That never happened.
oh god, it was awful.
But-
But I do remember also. I think because Keisha is so sweet and is like, just I'm like her sister, and she just like brought me into the mix, and
I think that was really.
It was really
like
cute.
Lucy never felt more accepted at that point. I think.
I know it was
than-
great. And then we all go to school, and you have a very amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So then we
So-
get into the schoolyard where this is, I think, really probably Simon's first big iconic kind of moment. I mean, I'm not trying to be like it was iconic, but like it was one of my first like seriously heavy moments that kind of reverberated through the shows where we're in the schoolyard playing. Nigel and we have a bunch of other kids playing with us. We're all playing with my toys,
Pretty
and
violent game too.
we're
play
we're
violence.
playing like war or guns or like soldiers or what any of those kind of pretend play things that young boys do that I did when I was little and that is really common. And Nigel is killed in the game, and then Simon
you bring him
comes
back to
in.
life.
Simon comes in with the revive. He's got the revive action. And he revives Nigel's character, which angers some other kid who then does something that you just
Don't.
would not catch on TV these days. I don't think at
No.
all. Which is he drops an N-bomb,
Right.
not even at Nigel directly, but at Simon for being friends with Nigel, which suddenly contextualizes that hate for Simon, who gets instantly heated and demands an apology and you could see that he's seething over it. And Nigel comes to Simon's side and he says, I don't want to mess it up, but he says something like you can't fight ignorance with violence.
Yep.
And
He's so
the-
wise.
the-
Nigel's so wise.
the wisdom
Yeah.
of that statement coming from Nigel is not surprising given
No.
Nigel's character, but the context of it, because throughout this episode, Nigel and I have been playing war. We've been having this pretend play violent game. And he still has the state of mind to separate like the violent play from the violent reality.
Right.
And that that this is not a game, that this is real life, and you can't react with anger and with hatred and with violence. And Simon succumbs to that anger and punches this kid and knocks him down in one punch, one amazing
It was a gut
Hadouken
punch.
that this
He
kid
went right
takes,
for the gut.
and then is like suspended over it
Yeah.
or something like that
Yeah.
from the school, and so Simon fails in that moment to listen to Nigel's wisdom, which is also great because again, if the show was trying to be extra preachy about it, then we would all be in the right position preaching, and nobody would make a mistake. But Simon takes the bait and reacts with his anger and violence. which is exactly what they're trying to say we shouldn't do.
But I also love too is that like when we all find out what has happened,
Yeah.
and when Eric and Annie find out, there is part of them where they know that they need to discipline you, but there's
Yes.
also,
Yeah.
as a parent, there's this pride in the fact that you were so passionate and you stood up for your friend.
That
you
I was
stood
strong in
up,
defense
that
of
you
my
were
friend.
strong
Yeah.
and defensive. So though the action was not what they wanted,
The action was still wrong.
the reaction in
The motive was
the motive was
sincere and
the
correct, yeah.
emotion behind it. And I think that there was like,
But that's the nuance that
Right.
makes me love the episode,
Yeah.
and that keeps it from being preachy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, yeah, I am kind of proud of him, but we have to punish him because
Yeah.
he didn't do the right thing.
right.
And our standards are better than that.
Right.
You don't react with violence.
Do you
And
think
so I love that nuance
Yeah.
to the episode. I think that's what makes it, that's what helps it age the right way.
why do you think Nigel said that he didn't know where Simon was when they go to pick him up?
Well, because Simon's he's trying
Oh,
to
'cause I
protect
got-
him. He's protecting him.
I don't think so. I think he genuinely,
I mean,
I think he genuinely wouldn't know because I got called to the office and then
you go to your other classes.
Yeah,
and-
like
and
he wasn't
he's-
dragged to the
yeah.
office with me. I hit the kid. I got called to the office and
Oh, I
was
thought he was trying
suspended.
to
He probably
protect you.
doesn't know what happened to me.
I thought he was protecting you because
I
if it was
wasn't
my
sure
friend, I was my
whether-
friend.
I don't know. I read it as he wouldn't know. Like he doesn't give much context that we roll over it quickly. So he
Right.
just goes, I don't know where he is. But
Right.
like in my head, it I would have gotten dragged to the office without him and suspended,
And-
so he wouldn't know.
And that was actually a really good scene too, because it also talks about
cop?
like
It
the
was
cop or
great.
the,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
security
The
guard
mall cop, the
oh
school
my
cop.
God.
who
the
is
racist
like
school cop.
Let me see
basically
your license and registration, please.
who's
What-
basically profiling and like
100%.
basically
I know, and no wonder.
Yeah.
and
But
And-
again, just
That was
another
a bit over
another
the top,
angle to hit
but,
this kind of the
sorry.
racism as a theme and the and contextualizing the experience that the Hamiltons
Yeah.
have in the community with that underlying racism.
well, and I loved
And you just
also
see Chaz's
to
face
see
and
the
it's
exact
like-
same age groups and to see how differently we were being treated. And I think
Yeah.
like having that like so in your face and bringing up was like so strong. And like again, this episode is so loaded.
Yeah,
It is so
absolutely.
loaded, and we hit on so many different ways that you're experiencing racism. Like throughout the episode, there's so much.
Yeah, there's it's a lot.
It's a
in,
lot.
in a for
In
an
a
hour
40,
show
46
in 40 something minutes.
We hit.
We attack this subject from a lot of angles, and there's a lot of pitfalls with trying to do that. It's not an easy thing to do, and
I think we
like
did
I
it.
said, I think the show for what it is did a really excellent job for what it is for the time, like
Yeah.
to tackle this in a kind of earnest, honest kind of way. I think we did a great job.
Agreed.
And by the way, Chaz, like what I remember, like again, like the guest stars we were talking about, Gabrielle Union, and I don't have too many memories of them personally because I didn't work with them a lot. They worked with you
Yeah,
guys more.
yeah,
They were your
yeah,
friends,
Yeah.
and like, but what I remember of Chaz is this guy has the like most beautiful smile.
Beautiful
Yes.
smile.
This guy
Like,
has a $1 million smile. If you've ever seen one, like if this guy smiles at you, you're
Like,
in
you're-
love.
you-
Like
by the way-
you're in love with this guy a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh my god! And you're the one who brings it out. Like,
I
You're
know.
the one.
Yeah,
I was
and
so
and we
lucky.
get there, and I
So
don't want
lucky
to
to
ruin
get
it.
there.
But when I'm rewatching the episode, I forgot that his character began on our show angry,
angry.
Kind of a
and
hothead,
upset and a
yeah.
hothead and all this stuff because all I remember about him is just
He was
seeing
so
him
fun to be
on
around,
set
and
and
he
he smiling
He's
and
just
being like,
an
"Wow, man,
Yeah.
you got that an incredible smile, like the smile that you have to
And
smile
he was
back."
just so warm. Like and
Yeah,
And
he was
such a
such a nice
sweet
But
guy.
it was so great though too because I think we come back and there's that moment in front of the house with Matt and John, and when like John basically is like, "What, you afraid of me too?"
Yeah.
And
he's
when
like, "No, you're just
when Matt finally says is like, "No, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just like you have an attitude. I'm afraid of like cuz I never know if you're going to go off." And it was this realization of like what the heaviness that he had been carrying and what he was presenting to the world that he was unknowingly doing.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't
Yeah.
aware that that's the way he was coming across. And I love that goes right into the dinner scene in which Matt calls Ruthie for the butter.
And they're like, go get your sister. And he's like, Ruthie! And then they're like, please.
Which, if you have a
Yeah.
big family,
You better
That-
say
that
please.
joke
That's
lands.
exactly what we meant. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
But,
yes.
And it's that adorable moment.
It was cute. And I had forgotten about that, obviously. So I'm watching like the butter gag, make its way down the levels. And I'm like, oh, Ruthie saw somebody else. So is Ruthie going to get a chance to get someone, because she like witnessed the
Yeah.
prank. But I didn't remember that it was me, but it was really
No,
cute.
and so it makes its way down the family.
Yeah.
It gets to you, and then you turn around and pull off the joke
Yeah.
on the
And now
angriest character.
I'm going to try that
Well,
with my own family.
Which is I think the most beautiful part about that. It's like the payoff, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah.
The payoff is when it brings it to John, and we get to
It's
see
perfect.
his beautiful smile.
It is. It's a $1 million payoff.
It is. And on that note,
Oh, but we did forget something, but we'll get into that after this break. Now that we're back, we should talk about this wonderful moment that we forgot, which kind of qualifies as a stunt also.
what was that?
What? Right?
What was that?
What do you mean? It's your dancing.
Oh,
Lucy displays some
yeah.
unreal dance moves
And-
with
and
Keisha.
before-
And
She apparently
She's
before
got the
you
moves.
defend yourself,
there's no defending.
I want to say that doing scenes like this sucks.
And
Yeah.
Mary's
Like
trying to study all of a
to,
sudden
like,
on like a Friday
dance
night.
And like
Can-
they're not playing any
Yeah,
music.
can we clarify that there is never
Zero.
any music? So
I mean,
you're
I could tell there was no music.
Someone
playing.
behind the camera goes and
Dance.
and then
Yeah.
50 people stare at you, wait because they're hungry and they want lunch, and you have
yeah,
to like
it's so bad.
well,
to
also,
nothing,
by
and
the
then
way-
they put whatever they clear over it, and
can we also
It's
be
so
clear?
demoralizing having to dance on television. and you
Hold,
don't even know.
please. Can we
All right.
also
You have the
hold-
floor.
Hold, please. I am dancing with Gabrielle Union.
totally win.
Okay, so how
Victory.
for Gabrielle, not for me?
What?
Huh?
Well,
I'm dancing with Gabrielle. How do I compare?
If I'm
to
dancing with Gabrielle Union, the victory is mine,
well,
not
I'm
hers.
No, I'm saying, how do you compete with someone who is like phenomenal, who has got incredible dance moves, and then like I couldn't be more awkward and strange and uncomfortable. So Gabrielle, by the way,
Perfect for your character. by the way.
Gabrielle
Yeah,
looked
that's-
amazing, and she like even though there was no music, she looked at like she had rhythm, style, and then
'Cause
there's
she does.
me, none of which infiltrated my body at all.
I mean-
like I looked like an awkward gerbil.
no, a gerbil with
bra-
braids.
a braided
gerbil. A long-haired
I mean, we don't have
braided
to talk about
gerbil.
the braids.
Okay, so the other part about that scene too is that Mary's all pissed off because, like, she's really pissed off because she isn't included, but she's like I don't want to wait until Sunday night to study for my test on
Yeah,
Monday.
Mary
Like,
doesn't
when
study.
was Mary like such a student?
She's not.
I know.
Yeah.
This weak
But
excuse.
I will say about the dancing that Gabrielle Union
It's just
gracefully
Brilliant.
did not leave you hanging. And what I thought was cute about it is that you guys aren't just dancing. She's
You're
not
dancing
leaving you
with each
hanging
other.
out there to dance awkwardly. You guys are dancing together. You guys
Yeah.
are doing little butt bumps and like,
yeah.
and that stuff was cute. So you guys had that moment together, and I didn't feel like you were kind of thrown out there to the wolves by yourself to like hip hop dance.
And you know what's crazy is Gabrielle. I've seen Gabrielle a lot recently, and it's always we actually ran into each other at
So you guys
Halloween, and
danced.
so we did not dance. And she did not bring up my awful dance lack
Well-
there of rhythm. She might now, but it is so funny because it's also fun to see relationships that started in 1996 and still exist. And whenever I see her, she's like absolutely freaking lovely and amazing. and wonderful, which is so fun.
This actually just reminded me, I don't know why, about the basketball scene too, where remember like going back to like that Mary and Chaz are playing basketball together, and he just like doesn't let her win at all. He's like, oh, she's actually really good, but his like, what do you think? We just go play basketball after church? And he's like, no, she's on varsity.
And then he has like mad skills.
Yeah.
I just remember in all like basketball was a big thing. Everybody did love playing basketball on set.
On set.
I love the idea of basketball. I guess
so bad.
I didn't even bother.
I'm utterly unathletic.
Yeah.
So
that was really cute though. That scene.
Oh well.
I also think like what's great is like kind of in Act 3 we start to see like all the walls come down. Everyone's like kind of opening up. You see Matt and John are finally like friendly because they've broken through.
Yeah, the ice has been broken between them, and
they've been in the house for like 3 days too. At that.
Really, thanks to Ruthie and
totally,
the butter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Morgan and Patricia are now like communicating, which was a big one because Eric and Annie kind of helped broker that conversation. I love that like Annie thinks like a great date night would be Sears. Like
that's excellent.
I was like, what?
But like so
Sears?
on brand, so on brand that like Annie's like, let's go to dinner and a movie. No, let's go to Sears.
There are a lot
First of all,
at least we don't have to deal with the customers like at Sears.
Am I the only one? Like Shauna and I all the time are like, oh man, you want to go to Home Depot and look at the plants? Like we're like, let's do it.
I forgot you guys love plants.
We've become very planty, but like that to us, like going, like running routine, like
running an errand.
Running errands together is like
without
something
children.
we enjoy.
Well,
even
with
Lily too.
Well, I mean, you have one.
We're a small team, but like running errands is something we look forward to and try to make fun and like enjoy. So I related to the like, let's go on to Sears for our date because we need a new lawnmower or whatever like that. That landed for me as a parent.
That was cute. And then I also love that finally the Keisha and Mary moment because I think that when Keisha basically they kind of break the ice and Keisha finally says like what's your problem with me? And it's she thought it was because that Mary wasn't comfortable with her, and the reality is like Mary's just jealous that now all of a sudden her little sister, who was annoying and used to like follow her around like a lost puppy, has found someone
else to admire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Keisha genuinely thinking like, oh, well, you didn't treat her very well, so I thought I was getting her out of your way. So she thought she was doing a favor. And so it's this like moment. But I do love in Camden fashion, they quickly solve it with a hug. It's like they address it and then we hug. Yeah. I was like, that is so Camden.
It's not just the Camden.
An excellent way to end a disagreement, I think.
Well, I'm just saying it wrapped up real quick.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
We got commercials.
45 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So another interesting take, and again, that kind of plays into I think the nuance of the writing that's done really well in the episode is that when Gabrielle is talking to Jess and they're having that moment where she says, I think you're being standoffish because you don't want me to think that you're racist or that's
prejudice,
like prejudice, which is the language that they use. And she's kind of ahead of the curve in the sense that she knows, and she says, I know you're not like that.
Right.
But the tension is there in that very relatable way where Mary doesn't know how to kind of be an ally and not seem like she's part of the problem. So she just distances herself.
Which is the reverse of what
which is the opposite of what's going on between the brothers, the older brothers. And so they do a great job again of attacking that dynamic from both, two different sides.
No, it was beautifully done, and it also was perfect for the characters. It was like pinpointed for each.
On that note, we're going to take another break. So here's my favorite moment of the show. is when Mary and Lucy and Keisha are all talking, and she's saying, and I'm really sorry that they burnt your church down. He's sort of implying that they weren't able to worship because they had no building. And Keisha comes in saying, a roof just keeps the rain off of our heads.
I know, that was a great line.
And I think that was like just one of the most like really hit home for me, because you can make a lot of excuses for why you can't do something, but the truth is you don't really need material things for love and community, and all you need really is your heart and your intention. It hit home for sure. Like,
yeah, I love how some of these moments that hit like that are so like straight to the point.
Yeah.
And like short and
it was
sweet.
Like literally,
they really have a kind of a poignancy that is that's strong in the episode.
And
absolutely.
I love also that you and Camille kind of start the like I love yous and start saying I love you to
and then you look at Happy, every single
character. Like you said it to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cute. Like it kind of reminds me of something my daughter does too. So when we leave the house, we're driving down the byway, she says, goodbye, the dog. She'll start with bye Homer, Maggie, bye the dogs, bye house, bye everything. She'll say goodbye to like individual blades of grass.
Yeah.
This is really cute.
It's so cute. And it's very funny that like when you say I love you to Lucy and Mary and Keisha, that Keisha calls out like, oh my God, I feel like we're at the Waltons. And then of course Lucy, the one that's clueless, says, but we're, and then Keisha's like, I know, or you're, the Waltons aren't black. And that it was like, but it was, what was nice was being able to play with that moment and like also kind of have that exhale where like Lucy realizes that she just inserted her foot in her mouth, and then everyone's just like, all right, let it go. Like, it's fine. And there was, and then we move on to you saying,
I don't know. I don't think you put your foot in your mouth. It capstones your lessons about
just
like
awareness.
Your whole like your kind of lessons about the man and stuff. It caps that gag off in a way that is funny because everybody's
and we did seem like the Waltons for everyone who knows the Waltons, which
we come from that family show legacy, so it's a kind of
and calling
it's a meta joke.
The Brady Bunch comparison.
It's a meta joke. I'm low-key proud of us for that.
I mean, there's a lot of low-key proud moments that we're coming through.
It's a good episode. I really do think that it's done well.
And I just want to say that I think on all of our behalves, like there was a part of us that were a little nervous about this rewatch part because like some of it, like diving back in was a little scary, to be honest. And I'm actually very much enjoying it and very proud of all of us.
Yeah,
I just so enjoyed like I was so young that like there was a level, I wasn't really aware of all of the storylines that were going on, but I just loved when the Hamilton family came over because we had like kids our own age to play with for once. It was I had a schoolroom of 2 kids in it and not one.
I know.
Right? Like the simple
it's always
stuff.
Fun when people came.
I
know, because Ruthie didn't get a lot. You didn't get a lot of friends. You didn't have as many guest stars as the rest of us.
But you and Jesse shared a schoolroom, so you always had someone else to be
I always had someone to fight with.
That's because they were the closest in age.
Or to like,
in case you guys didn't know.
Yeah.
What?
We're closest. Because I am older than Jesse. Yes.
Yeah. But
and we fought all the time.
And then we didn't see the Hamiltons as much during the later seasons, and I wish that we.
Because Gabrielle Union became a big star.
Also, before we get out of here, the 90s vibes check, our sleepover style of 2 kids, same bed, opposite directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
I slept on the floor.
I saw that. I was like, yeah, those are the sleepover vibes.
I gave Keisha my bed.
But I'm not a foot person at all.
But I also want to
I'm a foot person, but
no, I know, but like
on a serious note, to wrap up this episode, which I thought was amazing, is when Reverend Hamilton decides not to take the offer to come back to the Camden church, but to actually have church on the grounds.
Yeah.
And to show that no matter that the building may have burned down, but the congregation
When
stands.
Super
And
strong end.
having everyone there, and then having our church come to participate and be there in support, and then
All
also
the other ones. too.
seeing, which I didn't ever notice, but seeing with the extras is showing all different kinds of religions, and showing the
Yeah.
entire community. And this wasn't about religion. This
No, we
was
had-
about community.
It's a moment that could have been really cliche, but they didn't dwell on it. They just showed that
Yep.
the Muslim leaders came in support, the Jewish leaders came in support,
Yep.
the Christian leaders came in support, the white community and the black community came together. We all came to support the black community of the show
Yeah.
and have have ceremony with them in their space.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really strong,
So strong.
strong
When they're-
ending to the episode with the message of solidarity and how they end the episode with the beginning of his sermon where he takes from Nigel's prayer.
Yeah. And
Please God, stop the fires.
I remember that song. I remember that choir. I'll
The
fly
choir was
away.
killer.
Yes.
And again, it's things that like haven't been triggered or activated in so long. But
No,
the
yeah, for
moment
sure.
that first like bar went, I was like, oh, I remember this so clearly.
Yeah.
The way they sort of panned out at the end of the very last shot, I sort of expected
The
it
dolly
was like it
shot.
was implying almost that like the person who burned the church down was going to see this. Like in a weird way, I kind of expected that. I don't know why. Maybe I'm probably the only one, but I'm like they did it in a way that like if only the person could see that like they may have burned the building down, but they really didn't destroy anything. And I guess just the way they shot it, I kept thinking like you were going to see someone.
A shady
Watching.
figure.
A shady figure,
Watching
like
from the
watching
bushes
from the-
in a
I don't
hoodie.
know. I did because there was this like
That's
I
the
know.
Bucky and the Rev side
maybe
of,
I,
of this episode.
I don't know why.
Dun, dun,
It's a
dun.
different. That's a different show, but
Yeah, I'm like, that's Bucky and Rev.
yeah.
The Rev.
But anyways, yeah.
But it was I did think that what was nice is the last few seconds of the episode are
Freezing.
that beautiful pan, and it just kind of like it just allows. It's almost like it's a silence for you to kind of understand the whole episode. It was a brilliant episode. It was
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
And I gotta say, before we end, the last shot of Reverend Hamilton, he goes up for his sermon. He has the burned stained glass behind him.
beautiful,
Like excellent cinematography, like
Beautiful.
really, really strong imagery, and
And it's
MVP award to
Oh,
Reverend Hamilton.
I was gonna say
Yep.
MVP.
Absolutely to Reverend Hamilton. The introduction of the Hamilton family as a whole is a huge moment for our show because they were so integral to our extended family
Yeah.
on the series, and having them be introduced in such a strong way with a strong message with
So good.
with the community in turmoil and coming together, the solidarity. I was really proud of it.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, that episode was directed by Bert Brinkerhoff. Haven't
Was
heard
it?
that name for a while, right?
That's right,
Wow.
Yeah.
Bert,
Yeah.
who was our producer.
Was that his first episode? That he,
Well, it's crazy. I feel like
I feel like Bert
we're only
did-
on episode 5, and I felt like this is already like season 5, and we're only on episode 5. I mean, this
It's
is
gonna be a long.
it's gonna be a long
rewatch.
journey, guys. It's gonna be a long road.
Yep.
Remember that worst case scenario game where like you're on that annoying road trip? Sorry guys, you're on that road trip with me.
It's all right.
There are no
Pack
doors to
headphones.
this vehicle.
So the 90s fashion award, who's it between?
It's between you
Oh God.
and you.
Which version?
The braided version.
Against two. Against
Against nobody. You absolutely get the 90s fashion award for your braids. I don't know how else we could do that. What
I mean, you also have to like
the rest of us
my wardrobe
forgettable.
also was
Yeah.
was definitely a different choice for Lucy.
That's why you get the 90s fashion award.
the award I never
liked your
wanted.
Take
overalls.
your award,
Thanks,
Bev.
I liked your
thanks.
overalls
thank
in the
the
pancake
people.
scene.
Yes,
Those were cute too.
I loved overalls. I loved my Dickies. Okay, well, I think that wraps up this episode. So thank you guys so much for listening to us. This is Catching Up with the Camdens. Make sure to follow, push the like buttons, all the things.
Not the thumbs down button. That's dislike. We don't
All
want
the
that. You can just say nothing
things.
at all.
And make sure to follow us to stay tuned for
There should
future
be a-
episodes. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, check us out on Patreon for early access to Catching Up with the Camdens episodes, exclusive group and individual content, access to all three of us via chat, and more.